Welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a great week. If you're just joining us for the first time, this is our 86 K30 we've been working on for a little while now. And this week, we're going to build a center console with a JL 8W7 in it. All right, so the plan is, this thing's going to come up right behind the shifter here, and it's going to come up to whatever's comfortable to rest your elbow on. We'll have a little bit of padding, and this whole thing's going to be wrapped in leather. We'll have a little storage compartment in it here. It's probably not going to be all that big, but it'll be better than nothing. And then it's going to follow the contour of the seats up to the top of the seat and run right in the back of the cab. And we're going to have our little sub firing down, and it's going to be a ported box. We're going to try to get as much volume as we can, and we'll tune it from there. We're looking for anywhere from 33 to 36 hertz. So we're going to take some measurements and start laying out some pieces. I kind of feel like getting our side profile cut first would be the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, I kind of feel like you're right.
It might even be best to make a template, just because of all the angles. There's a lot of angles to work around here.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's comfortable right there. Of course, if you're taller than me and you have longer arms than me, is that going to put your elbow in the same place?
Well,
taller people usually have longer appendages.
yeah.
I wonder if the ratios work out to where your elbow will always be there if you're taller.
It's a good question. I don't know.
So yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and make a template, because we do want it to fit the back perfectly, and we have this hump to go around here. So that a template will save us a lot of whittling time getting it to fit that just right.
Yeah.
And we can figure out exactly how we want it to sit on the floor. Should probably just leave this channel here open. That way you got a place for sound to get out, and you have a place for stuff to roll into there and get lost forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, gotta have that.
Yeah, it's critical. All right, let's grab some poster board and make a template. So that's what it's looking like. Yeah, I think that looks about right.
Yeah, it's not bad.
All right, well, this template is far from perfect. This stuff is just too flimsy to work with all these angles and the size of it. So we'll take it out there, we'll lay it on the wood, and we'll just add to it. We'll give ourselves some room to play with, and then we'll start bringing actual wood in here and whittle on it till it fits just perfect like we want. And then we can use that piece as a template for the other side, because this just really ain't working out. But it did save us a lot of whittling that we would have had to do in wood.
Yeah.
So it's not for nothing. Seems like about as good a spot as any. All right, well, now that we have a rough shape cut out, hopefully we can gain a little momentum here. So it still isn't perfect because the template kind of sucked, but should just be a little bit of trimming and whittling from here to get it to fit just right. So we'll get to the whittling. Yeah, and that's really the main focus I think right now, is just go around the perimeter and close all the gaps we have wherever there's a gap. That way one of our sides dimension will be right and we can measure off, you know. So we know we have to take at least 3/4 off of this. And it looks like probably more.
Yeah, I'm thinking quite a bit more.
Yeah. I'll put it over here so y'all can see. This all needs to go. We don't want the box protruding because you're just going to be hitting your elbow on it. And we decided we're going to lay the top on top of this, so that'll give us another 3/4. So we're going to need to cut down here, maybe a little below, and then take another 3/4 off of that.
Yeah.
All right, go see where we're at. A couple more trips, I think we'll get it. All right, I think we're getting pretty close. Let's go test fit it, hopefully the last time. I think we're good now. Yeah, probably looked better before, but I still think it's good. All right, let's go cut this thing down to size. All right, now we have a template for the other side. Ooh. We'll draw it out, cut it, then we can stack them up, clamp them together, sand all the edges, make sure they're perfectly straight and even. And then I think the hard part will be over, really. All right, well, there's our two sides, finally. All done, sanded, even. Now we can start making easy pieces.
Oh,
Boy, that'd suck. Drop one and knock the corner off of it. That's looking pretty good. All right, so now that we got both our sides cut, we got them in here. We can get our measurement on our width, and that'll be pretty much all we need. We can cut the bottom, cut the back, cut pretty much everything from there. So it feels like we're in the home stretch already. It's 12 right there. So next thing we'll do is cut the bottom, and it'll run from this point all the way to the front, but it won't be able to go to the bottom. It's going to be sitting on this hump. So we'll get it cut, and we'll set all this back up, set it down on here, and we'll just put a mark on each side right there. Then we can line that mark up and this back corner up. We'll be ready to put it in. So it'll be two pieces. One of them have the hole, and then there'll be a backup behind that. So I think that's next. All right, so now that we have both of the bottom baffles cut, we're going to punch the hole for the speaker. So got this handy dandy router jig here. Works pretty good. It's a Jasper. So you drill a hole in the center for this metal pin, and then poke it in whichever one of these holes corresponds to the size you want, and it'll swing around in a circle. So before we put these in, we're going to drill them both at the same time. That way the center stays in the center. All right. Now we don't have to worry about that anymore. So the top one, or the inner one, will have a hole, the mounting hole for the sub itself. The bottom one will have a bigger hole that basically creates a recess for the sub to set in. Pretty handy little tool.
mm-hmm.
All right, that is our mounting circle. This one will create the recess. That hole wasn't even drilled all the way through.
No wonder it didn't want to go in.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Gotta be kidding me. Well, it was a pretty handy tool. I guess moral of the story is don't let your little pin get rusty. I don't know. Well, at least we got done with it, I think. Well, pretty much have to replace it when it cuts a hole like that. That's a good looking hole. Just need to sand the little nub off where it broke loose. And these are ready to go. So these stack up on each other like that. So then when you stack them up, you get a nice recess for your sub to sit in. And then your screws will go in here. Anyway, y'all see better now? Yeah, so there you go. That's where the sub goes. Pretty sweet. Take a round over bit and hit this and make it nice, round and smooth. So there's the bottom of our box, console. So I guess we're ready to go ahead and start putting this thing together, finally. So those go right there. I think I'd like to get the back cut. That way everything will kind of square itself up when we start going together with it. All right, so as you can see, we've been drawing some lines, kind of getting this thing figured out. So here's our bottom boards that we have cut with our holes for our sub. And it's just gonna follow around the bottom. And the back wall, we're moving in 2.5 inches. So we wanted to mount the amp back here. That way you couldn't see it. So we're trying to decide how we're gonna get air to it. So it'll be completely sealed in as it is right now. And it's gonna need to breathe a little bit so it don't overheat. As for our console, we're not gonna have quite as much console as we wanted. Of course, we have to keep in mind that the lid's gonna be 1.5 inches higher than this. But it's still smaller than what we wanted. But we need this space here for room for the sub to sit in here. You know, you can't have this board right up against the back of the magnet because it flows air through it for cooling. So that's just kind of is what it is. And then up here we have a pocket for our cup holders. We haven't decided if we're going to do a single on each side with an outlet in the middle, or if we're going to do the double either in the center with an outlet on one side or the other, or having this offset. We're still debating on that, but we went ahead and preliminarily figured out some of our air spaces, our volumes of these different shapes. So you see we got a little number there. You got 0.032 cubic feet in this little sliver, and just kind of compartmentalize. That's how I do it. Some of you people that are a lot smarter might have a better way, but I just calculate, you know, each little piece. One thing I missed was this little triangle. I didn't calculate the airspace of that triangle. But we got this compartment, just kind of sectioned off this little piece here. Figured that. and this, and then our quarter round here. And all together we come up with 1.6 cubic feet, which is pretty good. We need at least 1 cubic foot total volume in the end for the sub. So out of that 1.6, we have to subtract the displacement of the speaker itself. We'll probably have a brace right here, which isn't going to be a whole lot of cubic feet, but we do have to deduct that in the end, and then we'll have a port. Right now we're planning to run it down one side, and then it'll come across the back and open up. There'll be an opening right here. So that's the plan for the port. We have to we have to subtract that from the total volume also. So we're going to be pretty close to our cubic foot, but it's looking like we should be in good shape. The reason we were doing that right now is to make sure that this back wall could be moved forward. If we really needed that space, we could have pushed it back, got the volume back, and put the amp somewhere else, mounted on the back of the cab, which we'd really rather not do. We don't want to see it, but we didn't want to see wires either. We wanted them to run underneath, but unless we kind of redesign this whole bottom, there's no way to hide them underneath. So we're still thinking about that too. Know this is kind of slow go, maybe uninteresting, but it's all part of it.
Yep, intricate process.
Yeah. Got a lot of math.
A lot of figuring.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get the figuring done, then got a solid plan, then you can motor ahead.
Yep. So we could move this board up 3/4 and move that one in, and then that would create a channel.
Will it still give you room for your 3x5 port?
No, probably not.
Nope.
Nope. Well, I guess we've decided to give up on mounting the amp back here. We're struggling with getting airflow to it where it's going to look decent, and just the fact that you won't be able to get to it to adjust it or troubleshoot a problem or anything without pulling this whole thing out, which would be a pain once it's done. So I think we're going to abandon that idea. I think in the end we'll just make a panel and mount it behind the passenger seat or something like that. So we're going to eliminate that worry for now. We'll just push the back wall back a little bit and move on with this thing.
For long, we have so many marks on it, they ain't gonna know what to do.
Mm-hmm. It's already getting to that point. So now that we have some pieces actually cut where we can do something, I think we'll go ahead and glue our bottom baffle together and get that started drying. And then we'll start putting these pieces on one side or the other. So we'll put them on the piece that's already laid out. So we're going to kind of have to work off of one side. So we're going to have to build this port before we put it all together, because I don't think we're going to be able to get in here and work after that.
Got the old Gorilla Glue.
Mm-hmm. Don't want to get carried away with the glue on a situation like this. All it'll do is just keep them from coming together. That ought to do it. And maybe we'll put one in the end down here. That'll definitely do it. Put a little on this edge too. The edge of this wood tends to soak up a lot of glue.
Still good on that end?
Yep.
Good.
We got our little sliver here. It's going to be a trick.
It just so
that'll hold it. Yeah, we do need to try to get something on there though. All right. Now we can put our back on. So good?
Yep.
All right, so what we got laid out here is our brace. It's gonna go in here, right there. And it's just the overall dimension with 2 rectangles. So we got an inch perimeter all the way around it. And we got center lines, an inch, a ½ inch off each line. We got a 1 inch bit here. So we're gonna drill all these corners to make a round corner, and we'll cut it out with a jigsaw. But we want to get this done so we can calculate the volume of the brace, so we can get all our final volumes and figure out exactly how big and how long our port needs to be. Hopefully that thing will cut a pretty decent hole.
Maybe not.
Yeah, it's not bad, as long as it don't blow the back out. We could finish it from the other side, keep it from blowing out.
Yeah.
Thing already jacked it up. You just have to hand sand it, I guess. This stuff sands so easy, ain't nothing to it. There we go. It's a little jacked up. That first router bit had an undersized bearing on it, kind of screwed us, but other than our holes being a little crooked, not too bad. All right, well, there's our brace. And to calculate the volume of this, obviously you'll just take and calculate the volume of the whole piece minus these squares. So 0.028646 minus 0.013672. 0.014974 is our brace. It's not very much. Nope. 1.5 tenths of a cubic foot. And our subwoofer is 0.06 cubic feet. So we have our, since we pushed the wall back, since we're not doing the amp, we got 1.739 cubic feet. Minus 0.06 minus 0.015. 1.664 cubic feet is what we're left with.
That's a lot of cubic feet.
Yeah, so we got to take that 1.664, and I'm no professional at this by any means, but we'll have to plug that into WinISD. That's what I use to figure out port lengths. That'll give you a port length. Then you have to calculate the area or the volume of that port. You have to take that out of the original 1.664, whatever it was, right? Yeah. And that's going to reduce the volume again, so you have to plug that number back in. It'll give you a new port length, and it just keep working it back and forth. That's the only way I know to do it. Of course, the port's going to change by incrementally smaller amounts, so eventually it's minuscule. It doesn't really matter anymore. It'd be like 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch or something. Yeah. So we'll get our port length figured out. Again, we're tuning to, I don't know, 34 to 35 hertz. That's what we're shooting for. Should be easy enough to hit. All right, well, we've done all of our math, and what we've come up with is our port needs to be 3 inches wide. We're going 5 inches tall just because that's kind of what we have to work with from this level to this level. So it'll be 5 inches tall, 3 inches wide, and we need to be about 17.5 inches long. We have 12 inches to work with across the back, so we'll use this and this as the back sides and bottom. So our port will run across the back, our hole will be right here in the side of the box, and then it'll make a turn right here, and we'll need to get about 5 more inches out of it. So we also have to add this 3/4 to it too. So we'll actually have 12 3/4 worth of port here. Then we'll get our turn, we'll get our last 5 inches or so, and that'll be the port. Okay. So if we just keep this the same height, that puts our port at 5 3/8 high. Which if we keep it 3 inches, that made the port want to be longer. We can't really go any longer, so we have to make it back. We have to cut it down to 2 3/4 wide. So it'll be 2 3/4 by 5 3/8. That keeps it about the same length. Keeps our port velocity manageable. So that's what we got to do. 2 3/4, 5 3/8. So we got to cut some more wood. Yes, we got to start with that one. There we go. Okay, now that will go right there. Looks pretty much like it's supposed to. Mm-hmm. Like it?
I think so.
Okay, it pretty much takes care of the port. That's where it comes out through the side of the box. That's where it goes in there. So there's one kind of complicated piece done. So a whole lot of the thinking's been taken care of at least. Didn't get a whole lot done this week, but it's kind of a slow process.
Yeah. At least it's starting to look like something.
Yeah.
May not look like as much as we'd like at this point, but it's getting there.
Mm-hmm. So there we go. That's what it's going to look like. Still doesn't really look like much, but it starts to paint a picture what we're working with here.
Mm-hmm. Next week it'll look like something.
Hopefully.
But unfortunately we're out of time this week, so I know it wasn't as exciting of a video as we'd like, but if you enjoyed it, hit the like button. If you're not a subscriber, we'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel, and then go in the comments and type subscribe. That way you're entered into our monthly giveaways. This month we're giving away a Ridgid 12-gallon shop vac. There's a link in the description so you can check that out. But we appreciate y'all watching. We'll catch you on the next one.